Hello, in this video I'll be talking about spy theory, about bait, movement patterns, and how often the enemy turns their mouse, which I call rhythm. I'll be covering at first the movement patterns in this video. The 5 movement patterns are going to be after, away, around, along, and async. The first movement pattern we mentioned, after, is when the enemy goes after you. The second movement pattern that I've mentioned was away. Away is when the enemy is going away from you. The third concept, around, is when the enemy goes around you. Fourth movement pattern is along. They copy your strafes and move along you. And the fifth one is async. This is a movement pattern where they're not reacting to you and they're doing their own thing. And all these movement patterns, the enemy likes to mix and match. Some players like to go after you, then away from you with their melee. Let's say they hit you with their melee swing. After they went into you, then they go away from you. Or let's say the enemy is trying to go away from you, but he's trapped in front of you. He's going to go after you, he's going to go around you, and then away from you. As an example, let's say. Or the enemy, let's say he's not reacting to you, so he's async, he's doing his own thing, his own movement. And maybe you're getting close, so he maybe tries to copy your strafes, or maybe he tries to go away. This is how they mix their movement patterns. Their movement patterns aren't static. You can change it, you can manipulate it. They change their movement pattern according to the situation. It isn't static. Now we're going to move on to the counters to these movement patterns. If you know the counter to each of these 5 movement patterns, then let's say if they're mixing their movement patterns, you can take one movement pattern at a certain time point and counter that. Or they change their movement and you can counter that instead. You're more flexible with this type of thinking because you're not going to be as rigid as, let's say, if you're playing like CRD or whatever, where everyone's a certain level and they cannot change or whatever. It's very rigid. We're going to start with after. They're going after you. How do you counter this? You counter this by breaking their ankles. You try to make them look one way while they're going forwards, and you go the other way for Matador. Even good players do this sometimes, but they can have a really high reaction time, or they react at weird times, so it's weird to time that type of Matador sometimes on really good players. I'll be covering this later in the video in the rhythm section. There's then the away movement pattern. Away movement pattern, you try to get them into a back pedal if you can catch up to them, or you trap them against the wall to counter them. Then there's the around movement pattern. Around, they're usually trying to get around you so they can go away from you. Just you can counter this by going forwards, then doing a back pedal to counter them. This is usually how you do it, or you just go straight into a back pedal. Either or. Then there's along. Along, you try to fake them out like with Matador, but you try to intercept them more. You try to intercept their strafes, and then you sidestep them right before they change their strafe to copy your strafe. Then there's async. Async, you just read their movement and you counter it. You just predict what they're going to do next. They're not reacting to you, and you just counter it if they're not going to change their movement pattern afterwards. Let's say they were focusing on a different player and they have a certain movement pattern, it's going to be async because they're not reacting to you. So you just read the movement, you counter it, you just intercept it and sidestep them. But if they are reacting to you, but their movement isn't reacting to you, they know you're aware of them and all that, and they're going to try to kill you. They're going to eventually react to you with the other 4 movement patterns, like after, away, around, along, instead of the async, because async, it's a... They're trying to either dodge you or they're stalling for time. They're not gonna keep doing this once you get close enough. They're gonna change it. Sometimes the enemy mixes these movement patterns so much that it's hard to know what they're mixing or whatever. But just whatever movement pattern you see, just add that to the list of the movement patterns they've done. If they're going into you, around you, away from you, and whatever, you can just keep these in mind, and when you see like one of them at a certain time, you can counter that. One trick I like to do to see their movement pattern is by doing one long strafe to the side and see how they'll react to it. This also will help us in the rhythm section, but for movement patterns, they tell us what kind of movement patterns they're going to do. We're going to be moving on to rhythm. What is rhythm? Rhythm is how often you should change your strafes and your stab timings according to how often the enemy turns. And the enemy turns according to two main factors, which is their attack interval and their reaction time. Why reaction time and attack interval? The enemy likes to turn to how often they react a lot of the time. They also like to turn when they want to connect a shot onto you, or a melee swing or whatever. Whenever you're shooting someone, you want the crosshair to be on the enemy as soon as you shoot. So we can manipulate this fact and move according to their attack interval. How do we tell how fast or how slow their rhythm is? We can tell this by going to the side when we meet the enemy. We can tell how fast they react to the first strafe. We can also do a second strafe and see how fast they react to that. And if they react really fast to the second strafe or the first strafe, then that's the rhythm you change your movement to and your stab timings to. If they react slow, you have to change your movement slowly, not often, and stab at the same rhythm, which is slow. We mainly do this type of thing for heavies and pyros or SMG snipers or whatever. If they're tracking you, you want to rely on the reaction rhythm, the rhythm of how often they react to you. For the rhythm of how often they attack you, or swing at you, or shoot you, or whatever, you do the same thing. You check with the first strafe and the second strafe and see how often they shoot you, how often they try to swing at you, and according to this timing, you change your strafes and you change your stab timings too. This type of rhythm applies to scouts with their scattergun, soldiers with their rocket launcher, or NGs with their wrench, and so on. If it's a burst weapon, you want to rely on the attack interval rhythm. And changing your movement to the rhythm, you want to make it so every time you change your strafe or movement, they're looking the other way every time. So when they've reacted to you, you want to be in the other direction than they've reacted to you on. Let's say they're reacting to you being on the left, but as soon as they react to you being on the left, you're on the right side of their screen. Or if they're about to shoot you to the left, you want them to shoot you to the left when you're at the right of their screen, and so on. This rhythm concept also applies to stab timings, as I've said. Basically, when you're changing your movement according to the rhythm, you want to be on the other side of their screen when they've reacted to you. This we can manipulate this with our stab timings as well. We want to stab when we think they've reacted to us and look the other way. So time your stabs to their rhythm. How often they turn to react to you for a shot or to track you. In the movement section of this video, I talked about players that go after you, and sometimes really good players react to you at weird times. We can use this rhythm concept against them. We can move as often as they react to us and stab according to that timing. Sometimes the rhythm is so fast that they don't turn enough for you to stab. So on the second last strafe, let's say on a heavy or a tracking player, the second last strafe should be exaggerated. It should be longer than usual, and then you switch it after they react to that, and then you get a side stab. You do this so they turn enough for you to side stab them. But another thing that this applies to in the movement section, this rhythm concept, is the away movement pattern. Usually players who go away from you, before that they went after you and then they go away. Usually this is like a melee player, let's say a medic with an uber saw. That medic would have went into you, and as soon as he swung the melee and he connected with you, he goes back. This is how rhythm is related to that. He goes into you and away from you. The time he goes away from you is according to the rhythm of their attack interval. So you can manipulate this and time your counters accordingly. There's along, they copy your strafes. They can copy your strafes as fast as they can react to you. This is how rhythm applies to that. There's around you, they turn as fast as they can react to you according to the rhythm. This is how rhythm applies to that as well. And also to async, they will react to you. Like when you get close to them, they have a certain reaction time to that. And once they react, they change their movement pattern. This is also rhythm. So these two concepts go together, and it's really important. Now we've moved on to the bait section of this video. What is bait? Bait is when you manipulate the enemy to do what you want them to do, or to act as a debuff. So let's say we mentioned rhythm and movement patterns, so they can change their movement pattern to a movement pattern that's easier to counter. Or with rhythm, you can make it so the rhythm is slower, so it's a little bit easier to counter it. We can do this through bait. The two main methods of bait are 180s and head fakes. Head fakes, we can manipulate their movement patterns and we can make them look in a certain direction. When the enemy sees your sides, they tend to move a bit differently. If they see your side, they can try to, let's say, go behind you, go away from you, and you can trap them into a backpedal this way. There's also 180s where if, let's say, the enemy is really passive and their movement patterns are passive, let's say along, they go along you or they go away from you. If you do a 180 where you go away from them, facing away from them, there'll be even if they're good players, there'll be a short time period where they go into you, and this time interval you can manipulate and turn 180 back onto them and do a matador. And this matador, you change the strafes for the matador according to their rhythm, like I've said before in the rhythm section. You might be wondering what a head fake is. Head fake is basically when you make the enemy look one way when you're going the other way. So some people like to call it misdirection, I used to call it view baiting. Head faking, you look, let's say you want to make the enemy look a little bit more to the left, so you turn your camera to the left of them, so they look there more. And they'll also see your sides more, so they'll change their movement pattern. There's also reverse head faking, which can work on spy mains as well, where you actually look where you're actually going to go instead of looking where you want them to look and you go the other way. This can work on spies and some other better players that might have played spy or whatever, or not, and they're just used to side stabs. It makes them think that you're going actually the direction that you're not looking, while you're actually going the direction you're looking if they're a really good player. You can manipulate this. If you want to make your head fakes even better as well, you want to flick it. Flick the head fake hard and fast, and they're gonna react to it even more. You see this from spies like Eternal or Yakin. They flick their head fakes sometimes, and it works wonders on the enemy player. Don't forget though that rhythm also applies to head fakes. With when you're moving to an enemy's rhythm, you're changing your strafes and movement as fast as they react to you, according to their rhythm. And with head fakes, you want to do the same thing as well. You want to do your head fakes as often as the enemy reacts to you, according to their rhythm. And the faster the enemy's rhythm, the shorter you want to make your head fakes. This gives structure to your movement, and it basically makes your movement a little bit more consistent and more even. If the enemy has a low rhythm, you can make the head fakes slower. You can make the head fakes a little bit longer than usual, and you're not going to be doing them as often. So it's going to give it structure to your head fakes and movement. As a new player, baiting is extremely important. You can watch players like Stabby, like some of his frags. His movement is mediocre and his techniques are like ancient, but his baiting is really good, and because of that he lowers their rhythm, he changes their movement patterns to simpler movement patterns, and this way he can counter them easier. You should do this as a new player as well. Here are the honorable mentions for 4 baiting techniques that almost no one talks about. I'll list them off and explain them one by one. There's shuffling. Shuffling is when you move rapidly in one area while the enemy is coming at you from the side, and then you use that to sidestep them. Then there's safeguarding. Safeguarding is when the enemy shows you their back but you aren't prepared for it, and when you stab you're gonna miss it because you react too late, so you use that as bait for a side stab in the other direction instead of stabbing straight away. Then there's player bait. Player bait, you use another player as bait for a trick stab. And then there's triple matadors, where basically if the enemy isn't reacting to you on the first strafe, they're usually going to react to you on the second strafe. Or if they're a new player, they won't react to you at all, and this technique counters both players. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video and have a good day.